You are live on the agenda on Campus TV, your most authoritative political platform that provides a space for activists to contribute their quota towards national development from the educational perspective. I remain your favorite host, Frederick Brooks. We'll be taking a short breather, but before then, don't forget to follow our social media platforms. Campus TV on YouTube, campus.tv on Instagram, and Campus TV GH on Facebook. I'll be introducing to you a wonderful guest. Don't go anywhere, stay tuned. We are still live on the agenda, the most authoritative political platform that, as I reiterated, provides a space for activists to contribute their quota towards national development from the educational perspective. Today we have in our midst a wonderful personality in the person of Mr. Richard MAWULI AMEGATSE, the only parliamentary candidate who is independent in this particular race in Ayawaso West Wuogon constituency. Mr. Richard AMEGATSE, I have been seeing you trending on social media and also, in the grassroots, people chanting your name and all that. What is your secret?
I think if it must be done, it must be done well. So,
are you a man of little words, but bigger dreams? I like the way you paraphrase your response and everything. I can see you're a man of little words and bigger achievements. So, would like to know, how do you intend to penetrate this our bureaucratic system where we have a polarized system where in Ghana we seem to recognize only two political parties, which is the MPP and the NDC. Now you're a young man coming up. You refuse to recognize. You refuse to go by the suit. You felt you have to go outside the box and do something that you really want to do. What encouraged you? What spoke to you? What spoke to your conscience to make you feel that without you joining these major political parties, you can still delve through your political journey?
Well, thank you, Brooks. I'm a man of data. So before I do anything, I want to look at what the data is suggesting. It's true, it looks like NDC and MPP are taking stronghold in certain areas in Ghana. But Greater Accra region is a swing region. And looking at the data specifically in Ayawaso West, in 2016 election, where Kwabene Jakun won on the NPP ticket, he had 32,000 votes out of 81,000 registered voters. And then the NDC, Delali Brempong, got 22,000 votes out of the 81,000 registered voters. The number of people who did not vote were 33,000 plus.
Wow.
So my concern was, why didn't these people vote? So I went around and did my survey, and a lot of people were saying they are sick and tired of this NDC MPP duopoly, and they want an alternative. I have a very strong passion for leadership, and I feel if I put myself out there, for once, I also West can change the narrative, and an independent candidate will emerge the winner.
These are some of, great analysis, I've come across this particular day. It's wonderful, but people or analysts will tell you a lot of things go into apathy, where people refuse to vote. Maybe a lot of people don't find some of the policies from your opponents overwhelming, feasible, and that is why they are not willing to come out to vote. What are you bringing on board that you feel that is going to ignite, energize the base to come out to vote for you?
Well, thank you so much. I'm coming with so much, and my leadership skill is basically about solving problems. So I identify problems and I come up with alternatives. Ayawaso West has some problems, and I feel I'm in the right position to provide the leadership that will bring the needed solution to the constituency. One of the major problems that Ayawaso West face is environmental problems.
Okay.
Choke gutters, littered places, and a whole lot. And individual members in Ayawaso West are tidying their homes, but the politicians are the major contributing factor to the environmental problems that we have. And, you know, one of my major opponents, both of my major opponents, on the NDC ticket, John Dumelo, and on the MPP ticket, Lydia, have contributed to the environmental problems that we have in Ayawaso West. They have defaced individual and government properties with their campaign posters. I mean, and the whole constituency have been made nasty by so much paper littering due to these two people. And I don't think they are providing good leadership, or they even deserve to lead the constituency, such an elite constituency. So I am coming up with a paperless campaign, which you already know of that I'm doing. I'm not using any papers, and I'm doing a 100% green campaign as an example to them. And I feel Ghana will be a better place, and our environment will be clean and tidier, and everything would be in place if we could adopt such an approach. Because right now, the situation is an eyesore. Again, with the environment, okay, Ayawaso West is quite a very hot place because there are not so many green belts. The only green belt in Ayawaso West is behind the University of Ghana. And it's not a very big green belt. And so when it is summer or the sun is up, I mean, the place is very hot. And there's not so much beautification also. So if I get a nod to be your next member of parliament, what I'm going to do is to at least plant a minimum of 20,000 trees at the different locations in Ayawaso West to increase the quality of air that, you know, people breathe in, and also, you know, put some sort of, you know, shade and also beautify the place. Under the environment also, we have water. I mean, water problem, it's prevalent in Ayawaso West. I mean, sometimes at the different areas, East Legon, West Legon, Jowolo, Abelempe, Roman Ridge, Tesano, sometimes they close taps for 2 weeks without any notification at all, which I find to be very unfortunate, looking at the nature of the constituency that we are in. So what I would suggest is that when I get a nod to be your next member of parliament, I'm actually going to liaise with Ghana Water Company and Bulk Water Supply to see how best they will be able to provide constant water for the people. If not for anything at all, before your taps will be closed, you'll be given ample notice. And that falls under the environment, water and sanitation for me. When we talk about housing, about 40% of the people that live in Ayawaso West are renters. They are renting properties. We have about 7 or more tertiary institutions in Ayawaso West, and there are a lot of students around. And some of the students find it very difficult to afford rent outside their hostels because some of the landlords in the constituency ask for exorbitant prices. You're talking about 1 year, 2 year advance, and, you know, very huge prices and all. And the unfortunate thing is there's no, you know, arranged price. So anybody at all, based on their own whims and caprice, can fix any price at all they want for their property.
I think before we go more or we delve into the housing, a lot of people ask questions as to a parliamentary candidate who is independent, winning an election, representing his people in parliament. Now, you do not have a flag bearer because you are an independent candidate. How do you, find yourself working interchain with a government, making sure that there is that kind of connection between your constituency and the central government? You know, we practice the executive arm of government, and a lot of things that happen behind the scenes, you would have to lobby and all that. Since you don't speak the same language as the president, not, tribal language, but political language in terms of connection, how are you going to solicit for your constituents?
This is an awesome question, okay? We first have to look at what the exact work of a member of parliament is. The exact work of a member of parliament is to make laws. So when you get opportunity to go to member of parliament, you are going to make legislation. That's your primary duty. Another duty of the member of parliament is to be a supervisory role or to be a check and balance to the executive. So if you vote the same type of people to parliament and executive, what you're actually doing is that you are putting yourself in a disadvantage. For example, John Dramani Mahama is a crony to John Dumelo of the NDC. If you vote John Mahama and you vote what we call it, Dumelo,
yeah,
and you ask them to go and check each other, that's a joke. These people are cronies. They will go and connive and do things that are not necessarily near to your benefit. When you choose,
that's a fantastic response.
Lydia, and you choose Nanado, for example, they are also cronies. I mean, on the same ticket, they are going to collaborate and do whatever they want to do. Even if they are going to push bills that will not inure to the benefit of the ordinary Ghanaian, they are going to do it regardless because, hey, they are cronies. But if we have to really look at the job of a member of parliament that is supposed to be a check and balance to the executive, then you don't necessarily need a member of parliament that kind of speak the same political language or whatever with the executive. And that way, rather, there will be a maximum check and balance in, parliament.
I mean, that was a great response you just gave. You find a lot of constituents voting against their member of parliament as years come by, stating that they lacked hospitals, they lack good roads. I mean, we know that the legitimate responsibility of a member of parliament is to make sure that they legislate the law. They don't implement the law, but then they are able to serve as a barrier between making the law and also listening to the constituents. But this is a case where we have constituents in Ghana who believe that as a member of parliament, as Honorable Richard MAWULI AMEGATSE, you should be able to give them roads. And if you are unable to give them roads, they are going to vote you out. Are you still going to maintain your position of saying that the responsibility of an MP is to legislate, and that is what you are going to do, and you are not going to focus on what they are pleading for? Because I asked the question in relation to the lobbying because there are cases where, I mean, we have 16 regions in Ghana. I don't know whether tomorrow they are going to create, additional regions. If it happens like that, then it means that the president would have to superintend over 16 regions or over. If it happens like that, you would have to lobby. The one who is able to lobby well gets the opportunity. So it's not just about representing your people, but also serving that kind of political score between delivering your mandate and also giving remedy to your people. How are you going to blend these two?
Well, I understand where you are coming from because in the past, some member of parliament have been throwing dust into our eyes that they have what lobby prowess or whatever to lobby for the constituency. So we should vote for them so that they continue lobbying. But that's highly fallacious because, you see, the ministries forms part of the executive, and every ministry has its own programs.
Okay.
So the Ministry of Road and Highways, for example, has programs. Ministry of Housing, for example, has programs. Ministry of Energy, for example, has programs. And they take these programs to Parliament for approval without any regard to any constituency. So, for example, if the Ministry of Energy, for example, want to put 20,000 street lights in Ayawaso West, Wagon, and they get the approval from Parliament, and the job is really ongoing. It is the ministry that is doing the job, not the member of Parliament. Yes, as a member of Parliament for the constituency, you'll be privy with whatever that will be done at the constituency. But most of that job is a work of the ministry. And the ministry is open to anybody, even an ordinary Ghanaian. You can just walk to a director's office and make whatever claim you want to make. You can write letters. If they deem it fit and they review it and it's good, why not? But the other thing that the central presidency does is that they sometimes give directives to the ministries to undertake projects that are not in the plan or the program of the ministries. And most of those projects are political projects,
Okay.
especially when maybe the president is going to visit a certain constituency, or maybe it's close to an election and they have to do something. I mean, it is the president that needs votes, and the president wants to do something to woo the votes of all the Ghanaians. So if the president give a directive to, let's say, Ministry of Highways to come and construct a road in East Legon or West Legon or Abelempe, you know, I mean, to let the people know that, hey, they are doing something, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is the member of parliament that made it happen, but the member of parliament can claim it, and the president will not come out and say that he or she did not actually lobby. So if the member of parliament have to say that you should fix the road before you fix it, what is the job of the executive then? Okay,
so now let's come out of parliament. Now, I know you are a young, energetic, vibrant man. I mean, the first time I met you was on the campus of University of Ghana. I think you were embarking on a project. I know you to be an engineer or a scientist in that kind of area. What are you designing for your constituents? I mean, Ayawaso West Wuogon is kind of an academic discourse community where we have a school like University of Ghana. What do you have for the students? Now, we've heard your opponent. They are sharing laptops. They are giving remedies to students. They are conveying students throughout the coronavirus. They are testing students and all that. What do you have for students?
Well, to first clarify what you said,
okay,
none of my opponents has given any laptop.
Okay.
If you've heard anyone saying they are giving laptop, it's fake, and they've not done it, because
wow,
just imagine, even when they've not done it, they've made it public.
Wow.
Is it when they've done it that they wouldn't make it public? Just imagine somebody saying they are going to give 4,000 laptops, and they are actually giving that 4,000 laptops. Do you know the kind of publicity they are going to make with it? So
wow,
if somebody make a claim, we would have to verify the claim. And at where I'm sitting, those claims are false. Anyways.
And don't you think you are being unfair to them if you have not ascertained the fact, but then you are stating that they are fake?
Oh, I'm in the constituency. You're also in the... Have you received a laptop?
I've not.
Are you not a student?
Go on.
So those who receive the laptop should go and vote for them. Simple as that. So if you did not receive the laptop, and my viewers, if you are not part of those who received the laptop, advise yourself. That alone is discrimination against you, the one who didn't receive part of the laptop. And you have to know that you cannot vote for them. You know? But back to the question you asked
But
me.
we have it on fact that the member of parliament for this constituency has been sponsoring the school fees of, I mean, most of students on campus. Would you say that one is also fake?
We have a lot of people who sponsor people on campus.
Okay.
Let me give you a little bit about my background.
Okay.
I lost my mother when I was 7 or so, and I lost my father when I got to the first year in the university at KNUST.
Okay.
So more or less I became an orphan.
Okay.
Lydia didn't pay my school fees. Dumelo didn't pay my school fees. In fact, I've never eaten in Lydia's kitchen before.
Okay.
And I've never eaten in Dumelo's kitchen. They've not done anything for me.
Okay.
But why am I here? I've completed my school. I came to Legon also.
Yes. Yeah.
To start my master's.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so a lot of people get people helping them, sponsoring them, but they don't use it for campaign. But for the sake of the work of a member of parliament, we must hold the conversation on that standards of, you know, what the real jobs are rather than what people do to woo voters. I mean, and some of those things are not even verified. How many people do you know are sponsored that you have the evidence of? But let me put that one aside.
Yeah.
You did ask a question about my project. You know, I got an idea for an invention, and it was very tough, you know, raising money for it. And that gave me a lot of impression that a lot of the students in the constituency might have brilliant ideas. that they would want to come up with something new. Some of them might have business strategies, business ideas that they would want to come up, but they wouldn't have the initial fund. So what I want to do when I get a nod as a member of parliament is to institute the Science and Innovation Center, Science, Business and Innovation Center at the University of Legon campus. And it will be open to all tertiary institutions in the Ayawaso
Okay,
West.
so when you came to University of Ghana, I mean, because you met me at Ivandi, you know how our security is. I'm sure around the time we met, there had been a reported case of a student who had been butchered in between the stretch of Ivandi Hostel and Pentagon Hostel. I mean, what are you going to do about security? That is what students are crying for. Do you have any focus on security as far as the University of Ghana campus is concerned?
You see, the security of the university is a responsibility of the university. Why do we have vice chancellor? Why do we have pro VC? Why do we have vice pro, like, you know, all those big men? They are there to ensure that the school runs effectively.
But it's also important to note that the vice chancellor or the pro vice chancellor is your constituent.
I know, but what I mean is, when it comes to the work of a member of parliament, you see, there are certain jobs that you cannot go and take. For example, the university administration would have their, like, we are in Nasford right now.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think Nasford University might not have security issues?
They will definitely have.
Do you think Gimpa do not have security issues?
They would.
So the
entire country would have,
exactly.
Yeah.
So the administration would have the responsibility to ensure student safety. However, as a member of parliament, okay, if there is anything that you can liaise with the national security or with state security apparatuses to, at occasions, provide extra security to the already university security, I mean, that is not out of reach to be done. But back to what the specific, you know, focus I have for the university, it's the individual students, what the individual students get out of the university, how they churn out of the university. And that's my prime focus. And I'm saying I'm going to come up with a Science, Business and Innovation Center at the University of Ghana. And what that means is, if any student at all gets an idea, and that idea will lead to an invention or a new business,
yeah,
or
that's not to say we are closing docket on the security. I think we heard the member of parliament addressing, or even the school stating that it was the sole responsibility of the Ghana Police Service, the Legon branch, to be patrolling on campus. This is a case where some of the cases they don't patrol around. I know that being a member of parliament, you are going to collaborate with your MCE, who is the commander-in-chief of security in the constituency. How are you going to collaborate with an MCE who is not from your party? I mean, there's a quick, question. Then we move on to the innovation skills.
Like I said,
yeah.
I mean, when you get a position, they swear you in position to work for Ghana. So whether you are from party or party B, at the end of the day, you are supposed to work for Ghana. And if anybody at all come to you with any genuine concern, you must address it, regardless of your party administration. So with the security issue of the students, like I said, the students have an administration to the point that they even have SRC and what we call it?
Council?
Yeah, we have the SRC Council, Student Parliament, and a whole lot, okay? And
so as to the security, you don't see it to be the responsibility of the member of parliament?
I'm not saying it's not the responsibility of the member of parliament, but what I'm saying is there are certain things that falls within the immediate jurisdiction of the university authority, and until they call for an extra help, you cannot go and make You cannot go and
I mean,
dictate.
students are calling for extra help, and students who commute from Ivandi Hostel, Pent Hostel, to Atomic to buy things, they are being attacked. I mean, through that stretch. And you know, University of Ghana hostels are just, how do you call it, dispersed. We have TF that is even outside the electronic gate. So we consider all those places to be the campus or the premises of the university. So I'm saying that even not, if not internally in the university, what are you going to do around the environment of the university?
Like I said, and I keep repeating the same thing, the security of the university. We have Gimpa, we have Nasford, we have Legon. Legon is not the only tertiary institution in Ayawaso West. It will be very false if you go around saying you provide, for example, 10 security in Legon, or how
yes,
are you?
But in terms of population, University of Ghana is very dominating, and that is why I'm using University of Ghana. But
as a member of
you have
parliament,
30 seconds to wrap up.
yes, as a member of parliament, you have a whole constituency to deal with. Okay. So it will be very false when you go and promise that you provide, 20 security men in Legon, 20 in Nasford. Is it a private security that you are going to pay for? If it is the state security, like the police and the military, yes, you can collaborate with the school administration and make sure that the state institutions or the state security beef up security for the entire student population in the area. And that's not very difficult to do. It's just about communicating with the police administration or communicating with the military people if there is a need for an extra reinforcement. Okay. But also the university administration might have a plan. Okay. Right now I've seen that on the stretch, or the TS stretch, they've placed cameras.
Yes.
There.
Surveillance cameras.
Yes. That wasn't done by a member of parliament. That was done by the school authority.
Okay, so let's
and the students are paying. Let me just the students are paying a lot of money for SRC dues. The students are paying a whole lot of money. And the money is supposed to be used for those purposes. And that falls, outside the jurisdiction
of the member
of parliament. Though you can give assistance, you cannot go and give directive as to how the university should operate.
Okay, we've been having wonderful, lovely discussion with the independent candidate of Ayawaso West Wagon, Mr. Richard MAWULI AMEGATSE. He is reiterating that the sole responsibility of the minister or the member of parliament of a certain constituency is to deliver his mandate per his jurisdiction, and he sees security issues in schools not as sole responsibility of the administration, but then he sees it as an institutional mandate to be carried out by the administration. He also pointed the fact that students pay dues that is able to capture some of all these things. So he would want to collaborate, or he would want to reiterate to students to always channel their views and their grievances to the administration because they pay their dues to the administrations. We've been having a wonderful time here. We are taking a short breather. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. Welcome. We are still live on the agenda on Campus TV, your most authoritative political platform. I remain your favorite host, Frederick Brooks. We'll be talking about the ambitions, the plans you have for the constituents, but then we're centering all our argument or our discussion on security. Now we have to move away from security. Now the key or the riding trending news that we have is the Electoral Commission. Now people are stating that the government is collaborating with the Electoral Commission to rig this year's elections. People are also stating that the the compilation of the new voters register is flawed on its way because we have huge number of people for the very first time having their names and their records deleted from the system. What's your position to that? Are you saying that the government or the Electoral Commission has made a provision or reservation for an exhibition exercise to be carried out. So you don't have any problem with that.
If people don't say what they are saying, what would they say? From 1992, I mean, people say stuff about electoral commissioners. People say stuff about Afrajan. Even just recently, Charlotte Osei was the EC. People said stuff about her. Today, she's no more. We have Jean Mensa. You see, when you hold public office, you are accountable to the people.
But excuse me, if you say people say stuffs, are you saying that they were not raising genuine concerns? I mean,
that's what I'm saying, that if you hold public office, you are accountable to the people. So whatever the people want is what you do. And if the people feel that you are not doing what they want, they will have concerns. So yes, some of those concerns are legitimate concerns, which must be addressed by the EC. But for me, I think with time and, a lot of explanation, people might get to know the EC's position and all. And as an aspiring candidate myself, I mean, who is also part of the electoral process, I think the only thing I would have to do is to exercise patience and, go through all the processes little by little. So to all the viewers, maybe you have any pressing need that you want the EC to address. I believe it shall be addressed.
So do you feel so far our electoral procedures, the exercises, the registration procedures have been duly followed? Do you feel that the Electoral Commission has been able to do well when it comes to the procedures and also the processes surrounding making sure that each and everyone is registered without the person being disenfranchised?
Well, personally, I mean, so far, so good. As far as by the time we get to the poll on 7th December, nobody will be disenfranchised. That's fair. And the EC has made alternatives for people who are not getting on well on the voters register.
This is a direct question. Have you seen cases where people are buzzed outside the constituency to register and vote for a particular parliamentary, candidate? Your opponent. Have you seen cases like that?
Yeah, on University of Legon campus, while the registration was going on, some buses came and people were alleging that Mali, they are bus people from Somenia, and others too were alleging that Dumelo bus people from Ashama. But the allegations.
And what steps did you take, or what do you feel you were supposed to do, or what did you do during that particular moment as a constituent and even as a parliamentary candidate?
For me, I think if those people are able to really go through the process and register, I'll just see them to be constituents. But at the point where they came in buses, there's a lot of questions. It's questionable. Because I don't
they're
see...
able to cross the hurdle from getting registered, when their names are put on the new voters register, they become your legitimate constituents. But then as to when they are being carried from their constituency to your constituency, you feel you have a problem with it. Don't you feel you are jumping a gun?
If they are not members of the constituency, then it's wrong. They came to register. And if
so it basically means that whether or not they are now registering or they have been put on the new voters register, it's still wrong to have someone who does not live in the jurisdiction of where you be presiding or superintending to be on your register, to vote and to decide for your own people.
The Electoral Commission has an oversight responsibility of that. And whatever the Electoral Commissioner decides is what becomes legitimate. So if those people have registered, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt. But on the contrary, wrong is wrong and right is right. So if they are registered, fine. I give them the benefit of the doubt. But I also know some people were not allowed to register because they couldn't prove their legitimacy. It's all part of it.
I mean, do you have cases where people call you on phone, speak to you, tell you, Honorable, we can make you win this election. We can help you with a number of people. We'll bus people from this constituency to your constituency. Have you ever experienced that?
No.
I mean, is it because you don't have base? Do you have factions? Do you have groups who you feel they support you? They call you into their meetings. Just in the case of the NDC and the MPP, where we even have caucuses. We have the Ewe caucuses, we have the Ashanti caucuses within the MPP and the NDC. Do you have any caucus that calls you, any organization that you feel calls you and tell you that, Honorable, will make sure you win this particular election?
The election is beyond caucuses.
Okay. So do you have a caucus?
Caucus as in tribal caucus?
I mean,
like the way you mentioned, no.
I
do not have tribal caucus.
I'm not talking about tribal caucus. I'm talking about caucus. You have been in KNUST before. You've been in Legon before.
Yeah.
I mean, you can even get a caucus of University of Ghana students. That's why I'm asking, do you have any caucus?
No.
Even a church caucus?
My campaign is general. I mean, everybody can get on my campaign.
The entire constituency is your caucus?
Yes, the entire constituency. Anybody.
That's wonderful.
At all. It's part of those who want to vote for me. Yes, they automatically become part of me. So, I mean, there's nothing like a caucus.
So just like a candidate, do you still receive calls, as in constituents? I mean, expressing their grievances. They feel that this is going wrong. Mr. Richard MAWULI, can you come and help us out? Have you ever responded to any emergency or an urgent call in this respective manner?
Oh yes, I mean, people will call you.
Can you name an instance when you have been called to come to?
I just received a message on my phone right now.
Okay.
And let me just break protocol and let you read it.
Okay.
Can you read it?
Okay, sure. And I would love my competent production team to also try to capture it very well. So it reads, make time.
No, last.
Okay, no, the last one. Okay. Wow. I mean, someone is asking for a job. Give me job, why? And the Honorable Richard MAWULI also stated that, I hear you, boss. I mean,
this is somebody I've never met before.
Wonderful.
They picked my number somewhere and they introduced themselves. And just as I'm speaking to you, look at the demand he's making. Sure. So every single day, 24/7, you have such of those demands. The ones that you can meet, you meet them. The ones that you cannot meet immediately, you find ways of helping. I find a lot of pleasure in helping people. So when somebody say thank you, that one is even enough for me. So even though I am campaigning to be MP, I don't like it when I do good and I put it on social media or no. So I'm doing a lot of things for people.
For the few moments that I've followed you, I've seen you to be someone who is a result-oriented person. And you begin a course and you end it. I mean, you started this whole, going into this particular election, in a very small manner until we saw that as days came by, you kept igniting your base till now you find yourself here. So I know that is who you are. But then after the election, how should people see you? What should people expect from you, your person, as a parliamentary candidate, as a constituent? Because people forget that before you have someone to be your MP, the person also runs up to be a constituent. What should we expect from Honorable Richard MAWULI AMEGATSE if he wins this particular elections?
It's to deliver to the people.
Okay.
Everything that I've said, from water and sanitation, from rent. I said with the rent, I'll bring a new law called Fair Rent Index. It's something I'm going to push in Parliament.
Through Parliament.
And what that Fair Rent Index means is that at a particular location and the nature of the property, people should be able to get a fair rent. And a whole lot. I'm also going to work on visa issues. A lot of my constituents want to travel outside the country. This particular, even most of the students, the French students, and some of them go to the embassy and they are denied visas.
But you also understand and also agree with me that falls outside the jurisdiction of the Member of Parliament.
It doesn't fall outside the jurisdiction of a Member of Parliament because
to make sure his constituents travel outside the country.
No, I'm not saying I'm going to make sure my constituents travel outside the country. What I'm saying is that a lot of the constituents are denied visa unjustly, and the reasons why they are denied the visa is because they say they do not have the travel history. And for me, that doesn't make sense. Okay. If the person doesn't get the opportunity to travel, how do they get the travel history?
Okay.
So what I'm going to do in Parliament is to raise competent conversation on Parliament as to how Ghana can make foreign policies that will make the individual Ghanaian, put them in an advantage end. Because the UN Charter stated clearly that everybody has the freedom of movement. And right now we are in a globalized village. There's so much competition at every part of the world. And Ghanaians must participate in that competition. But if they are held down and they are denied travel opportunities on so many, frivolous grounds, how will they compete globally?
That's wonderful. Before then, one thing I admire about young people in politics is the fact that sponsoring an election is not an easy discussion to have here. How do you tend to fund your campaign? I mean, we know in cases where people have over 20 companies sponsoring them and all that. Do you have companies? Do you have organizations? Do you have people sponsoring you? Or how do you intend to, sponsor your campaign?
I'm a 100% self-funded person.
That's wonderful.
And one thing that people don't know is that if politicians spend a lot of money on their campaign, after the election, they want to recoup the money. That's what makes them corrupt.
That's true.
So I want to spend the least money.
Okay.
Something that would not, I wouldn't have to go out of my way to spend. So that when I get opportunity, I do just what is required of me as a member of Parliament. So I'm a self-funded person. There's no organization, no political party funding me. I also did some fundraising.
Okay.
And individual members, out of their own will, supported me with little
yes, but that would just contribute to 1% of the whole burden. I know how tiring the whole process is.
It's true.
Even commuting from wherever you are to this studio, going back, there are some people who meet you, officer, honorable, Mami 50 Ghana, you have to help out and all that. So I would like to also commend with that.
Thank you.
Aside with the fact, with your personal experience, as you allowing yourself to self-fund your campaign, what do you say about your opponent? We've seen, as you stated, flyers or posters of your opponent littered around. You've seen cases where they go around, they share money. They give money to people, physical money. Even during the primaries, you saw what happened. What are you saying? Are you saying that they are abusing incumbency, or is either those in opposition are also overspending and they are definitely going to recoup their monies? And what are you saying about that? Do you condemn such acts?
Well, obviously, like I said, if you spend more money and after the election you find ways and means of recouping it, that's what makes politicians corrupt, and I condemn it. I don't see the reason why, if the people have goodwill for you, you have to spend so much before they vote for you.
That's wonderful.
All the people that are supporting me,
sure,
they are doing it out of genuine heart. I'm not buying anybody. So why can't they do the same?
Sure. That's wonderful. We still have in the studios the independent candidate of the Yawaso West Wagon, Mr. Richard MAWULI AMEGATSE. He is stating that he's self-funding himself throughout this electioneering campaigning process. And he also wants to reiterate the fact that when you allow your parliamentary candidates to not to self-fund themselves and also take money from somewhere, overspend on you, definitely there will be the time to recoup those amounts of money, and you are going to be at the disadvantaged side. We are taking this short breather. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. We are so live on the Agenda on Campus TV. As I told you, your most authoritative political platform that provides the space for activists to contribute their quota towards national development from the educational perspective. We've been talking to wonderful gentlemen. I mean, I love the discussion so far. I think before we left, we're talking about as to how politicians abuse incumbency or abuse funds, because they know there will definitely be time for them to recoup whatever money they've spent. Okay, so now people are also talking about the amount of money the Electoral Commission is charging, I mean, parliamentary candidates and even presidential candidates. As young as you are, I mean, I really respect you for that. Your ability, the tenacity of you thinking that there are so many things that you can do with money, but then you would want to use your money to salvage a certain people. That's Ayawaso West Wagon. And you are standing for this cause because you know you are not going to recoup your money someday, but then you are going to recoup the interests of your people, making sure that you deliver on mandate. Are you therefore, I mean, challenging the fees that they are exorbitant to be requested for, especially from a very young, I mean, parliamentary candidate like you?
You know, when I look in our media space, almost every Ghanaian or most Ghanaians have expressed dissatisfaction about the rate of fees stipulated by the Electoral Commissioner. And I'm no exception. But truth be told, the bad precedence was set by the previous Electoral Commissioner, Madam Charlotte Osei. Parliamentary forms were 500 Ghana cedis.
Oh.
When Charlotte Osei became EC, she moved it to 10,000 Ghana cedis. So Jean Mensa has not done anything.
She inherited those exorbitant
so it's like
prices.
A precedence. A bad precedent has been set. So
that's a great
and for me, at the parliamentary level, though I was expecting that Jean Mensa will revert back to the 500 cedis, she didn't even,
but factorizing population growth.
Yeah.
I mean, thinking about day in, day out, we are increasing in numbers in terms of, especially Ayawaso West Wagon, where we have schools, we have the UPSA, we have, Wisconsin, we have University of Ghana, we have Gimpa and all that. Don't you think you have to factor this into the conversation to come up with a consensus that definitely they have to increase these fees because of, to print adequate number of ballot papers, even, creation of, new polling stations and all that. Don't you think it's very unfair to just talk about the fact that you are dissatisfied with the fee, just talking about it being 500 some years, and as years even come by, they are increasing it, and you are still comparing it to that particular regime? In
the history of Ghana, one of the institutions that its budget has been unanimously approved by Parliament is the Electoral Commissioner.
Wow.
All the, funds they require is approved by Parliament, with the notion that they will use the funds for the election. So yes, there have been an adequate budget for such activities, which is being paid, for by the taxpayers' money.
Okay, since we are talking about the Electoral Commission, let's jump to this particular section where the leader of the opposition party, the former president, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, stated that he is not going to accept any results from any flawed election. In your case in Ayawaso West, should we record any irregularities here in Ayawaso West? Are you going to accept the results?
I respect the Electoral Commissioner 100%. And I am not going to put any impediment or whatsoever.
Even when you feel that, the results that come out are flawed?
I'm not going to put any impediment or whatsoever on the way of the electoral commissioner in delivering their mandate. And I trust their judgment. If I feel aggrieved in the process, I'll go to court.
Definitely.
Apart from that, there's no need for any public outcry. I think it's about time we allow the electoral commissioner to work.
Okay.
I mean, if you feel dissatisfied, you can petition them through court. I mean, but apart from that, enough of the bashing and bashing. It will get to a point the electoral commission will lose so much credibility. And I mean, even when they are doing the right thing, everybody would think they are doing the wrong thing.
I think that is a very bold and brave statement you made. As in, it's high time, I mean, we allow the electoral commission to operate, since every electoral commission, every regime is being seen to be aligned to the ruling government. I feel it's a bad precedence to follow. But aside the fact that we are talking about the electoral commission, every country grows when the anti-corruption fight is held to a certain pedestal. What are some of the policies, or what are some of the things you want to put in place to fight corruption, even just as a parliamentary candidate and also as a member of parliament for Ayawaso West Wagon?
This is the best question so far. I mean, I've always been advocating that before Ghana would be able to overcome corruption, we need to fight corruption at the local level. How can you create one office in Accra that it is an anti-corruption office for the whole Ghana? When Ghana has a lot of constituency and district and all that, I mean, they are not going to be effective. So what I'll do when I get the opportunity to become a member of parliament is that I'm going to institute a special office that we call Ayawaso West Anti-Corruption Office. And that office will have certain people in there, some lawyers in there, some
okay, so just like we have the case of the special prosecutor.
No.
Who are you going to appoint to be the head of that particular office? Is it going to be a lawyer, one of your own, or one of, your own caucuses?
Let me first tell you what the office will do, So the Ayawaso West Anti-Corruption Office is going to be responsible for any issue concerning corruption in the constituency. So, for example, if you go to any office in Ayawaso West, a public office, and somebody demands an illegitimate money from you, money that clearly you are not supposed to pay, but they arm twist you to pay it. All you have to do is to come to the Ayawaso West Wagon Anti-Corruption Office to report your case, and then we'll open a file for you, follow up, make sure that you get a refund for your money.
Okay.
Or, if possible, prosecute whoever. Sue, not prosecute.
Yeah.
Sue whoever is
in charge. Found culpable.
Culpable of that act.
Of that act.
So that is different from special prosecutor. With special prosecutor, he has the right to, take you to court and read judgment against you to a court.
I think you will have some 10 seconds to wrap up with that.
Yes, but with the office I'm talking about, they will press a suit against the perpetrator.
Okay.
And then
they
a prosecutor,
the case.
And then a prosecutor will take it from there.
Okay.
That's the difference. But the office, like I said, will be made of some journalists, some media personnel, etc. And they are going to be in mix in doing this.
Okay, that's wonderful. So still we've been talking to the parliamentary candidate for Ayawaso West Wagon, the independent candidate. He is stating that he is poised at fighting corruption in the entire country and then also specifically in the Ayawaso West Wagon. He feels that corruption can be dealt with locally before even we get to the central government. Final words, then we just close the show.
Well, the people of Ayawaso West, this is Campus TV, and I know a lot of the youth out there are watching. we are the future of this country. The NDC and the MPP has done so many things that did not help us so much. And it's about time we change our mind and give an independent candidate the opportunity to change the narrative. And I strongly believe that come 7 December 2020, if you choose me as your parliamentary candidate, you might have helped change the narrative, and that might, have a ripple effect on the whole country. And that may, change the vote patterns we normally record. But most importantly, as we are going to the polls, be very careful about how you associate so that you will not be a victim of any violence. You and I will agree that in the 2019 by-election, the NDC and MPP put up a show, a violent show in Ayawaso West, which dented the image of the constituency. And it is very probable that come 7 December 2020, they are going to do worse. If the NDC wins, there's going to be a fight. If the MPP wins, there's going to be a fight. I am the peace. And if you vote for Richard MAWULI AMEGATSE as your next MP and I win the seat for Ayawaso West, the NDC will go, the MPP will go. There will not be any fight in Ayawaso West. So people, see through me as your leader that will bring a lot of change in the constituency and do everything possible to make sure that you have the constituency that you really, really, really want to see.
That's wonderful. So I think if we should give our candidates all day long, he would be able to have something to say, because I think he's impregnated with a lot of plans as to how to push this constituency to the next pedestal. It's been wonderful having you here, and thank you very much for honoring our visitation. Mr. Richard MAWULI is someone I see as a scientist. I follow him a lot, and he has implemented or has come up with innovative skills, or also, ideas that when you follow his social media handles, you learn a lot from. I feel that these are young people that we should support in all endeavors. So in the words of the parliamentary candidates, the only independent candidate in Ayawaso West Wuogon, he is stating that anytime there's any electoral procedure in Ayawaso West Wuogon, we record electoral violence. And just as in the previous by-elections that we had, even it necessitated a commission of inquiry, a Milshot commission, to be organized for them to investigate the matter. He is stating that there's a high possibility, or it's probable, that this particular election, electoral violence is going to be recorded if NDC and MPP are being voted into power. And he is for peace, and that is why you have to come for Honorable Richard MAWULI AMEGATSE. I'm already adding the honorable to him already. It's been wonderful discussion with him. That is why you have to join us next week. Stay with me next time, same time, another time. I remain your favorite host, Frederick Brooks. Bye.